If you ever caught your parents or grandparents watching a movie, you'd probably find John Wayne gracing the screen. He was one of the most prominent film stars of his time, achieving fame by embodying the quintessential cowboy and becoming a true American icon. However, there's another side to Wayne's legacy, one that involves a long list of adversaries that could fill up a city block. In fact, he had some significant beef with actors who are still active in the industry today. So, how did certain individuals like Steven Spielberg wind up in his crosshairs? Keep watching to learn who John Wayne truly hated more than anyone. Today, we're about to delve into the details. But before we do, please take a moment to show your support by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to our channel so you never miss a video. Now, are you ready? Well, let's get started. As the sun dipped below the expansive horizons of the cinematic American West, one towering figure consistently dominated the landscape: John Wayne. Boasting a career spanning over 4 decades and a portfolio of more than 170 films, Wayne's impact on Hollywood is undeniable. His roles often evoked a vision of a resilient, unyielding America in movies like True Grit, The Searchers, and Rio Bravo. Wayne embodied characters that mirrored these very qualities: gritty, tenacious, and fiercely patriotic. It's worth noting that his journey to stardom was far from meteoric. After starting with minor roles in the early 30s, Wayne spent nearly a decade on the fringes of Hollywood before securing his breakthrough role in John Ford's 1939 masterpiece, Stagecoach. Portraying the Ringo Kid, a multifaceted character navigating a morally complex landscape, heralded the advent of a new breed of Hollywood hero, one characterized by flaws yet unwavering principles. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, Wayne became synonymous with the Western genre. His collaboration with director John Ford yielded cinematic treasures like She Wore a Yellow Ribbon and Fort Apache. These films, rich in storytelling and character depth, showcased Wayne's ability to transcend the one-dimensional roles of his era, infusing his characters with layers of complexity. However, his influence extended beyond the realm of westerns. Wayne ventured into various genres, from war films like The Sands of Iwo Jima to romantic dramas such as The Quiet Man. In each of these diverse roles, Wayne brought an authenticity that deeply resonated with audiences, solidifying his status as one of the most significant box office draws of his era. What truly set Wayne apart was his off-camera persona, which closely mirrored the characters he portrayed on screen. His personal beliefs, political convictions, and confrontational demeanor seamlessly intertwined with his on-screen roles, blurring the boundaries between the actor and the character. Whether he portrayed a cowboy steadfastly facing down outlaws or a soldier defending his nation, audiences believed in him because, in many respects, he wasn't just performing. He was authentically himself. Beyond the silver screen, Wayne's life was equally captivating. He fearlessly voiced his opinions, never shying away from controversy. As a staunch conservative in politically tumultuous times, he belonged to Hollywood circles that advocated for blacklisting alleged communists. This political alignment not only influenced his off-screen relationships but also shaped his choice of films and the characters he portrayed. For instance, in Big Jim McLean, Wayne took on the role of a federal agent investigating communist activity, a part that aligned with his personal convictions at the time. What happened between Clint Eastwood and John Wayne? When you think of cowboys, John Wayne is the first name that comes to mind, but Clint Eastwood probably takes the second spot. Eastwood's career has thrived on a tough scowl and even tougher performances. From Dirty Harry to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he's had a series of iconic roles that could rival John Wayne's. So what's the story behind these two seemingly similar actors hating each other? Despite their mutual respect, these contemporaries in a highly competitive industry were marked by more than just admiration. They shared a simmering rivalry deeply rooted in their contrasting philosophies of the Western film genre. John Wayne's Westerns are a tribute to a bygone era, reflecting a traditionalist's vision of the Old West. His films often featured clear-cut distinctions between good and evil, with his characters epitomizing the quintessential American hero, brave, honorable, and unwavering in the face of adversity. These narratives revolved around the triumph of justice and were set in landscapes that, though rugged, were always underpinned by a sense of hope. Clint Eastwood's interpretation of the West, however, departed significantly from Wayne's. Eastwood's westerns, especially those he directed, painted a grittier and more morally ambiguous picture. The lines between right and wrong were blurred in his narratives. His characters, particularly the man with no name from the spaghetti western trilogy, often grappled with moral complexity, driven by personal codes rather than a broader sense of justice. The landscapes in Eastwood's films mirrored this ethos, presenting the West as a desolate, almost dystopian realm where survival frequently outweighed morality. Wayne, always a traditionalist, was not one to hold back his critiques of Eastwood's films. He once famously commented on High Plains Drifter, an Eastwood directorial project, claiming it was overly pessimistic and did not represent the true American spirit. Alive or dead, it's your choice. Wayne's criticism extended beyond the film's tone. He felt that Eastwood's portrayal of the West undermined the values traditionally upheld by the genre. Eastwood responded, both in words and through his work, by arguing that the West was not always a realm of black and white. He believed that to authentically depict the rawness and unpredictability of frontier life, one had to move beyond traditional binaries. Eastwood's films, with morally complex characters and intricate narratives, represented, in his view, a more genuine reflection of the era. The contrast in their philosophies also extended to their filmmaking styles. While Wayne's films often featured grand set pieces, sweeping shots of vast landscapes, and an epic scale, Eastwood's were more intimate. He focused on close-ups, capturing the nuanced emotions of his characters, and frequently employed a subdued color palette to mirror the bleakness of his narratives. Their subtle rivalry extended beyond their work. In interviews, though neither would openly criticize the other, there were evident hints and remarks. Wayne, in various interactions, lamented the revisionist approach to Westerns, indirectly referencing filmmakers like Eastwood. On the other hand, Eastwood frequently discussed the importance of evolving with the times, subtly alluding to Wayne's unwavering commitment to traditional Western narratives. Despite this, Clint continued to send scripts to John in the hopes of collaborating on a project, but Wayne remained resolute, even going so far as to toss a version of the script for The Hostiles into the ocean while disparaging it. It's somewhat disappointing because an Eastwood-Wayne cowboy film would have been a must-watch, but John couldn't bear the idea of a less-than-heroic main character. Let's talk about Steven Spielberg now. Steven Spielberg is widely regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time, and his extensive body of work certainly attests to that. In 1979, Spielberg had already directed blockbusters like Jaws and was in the midst of working on his first Indiana Jones film. However, he hadn't yet won over the respect of John Wayne. In fact, among all the people he might not have been on good terms with, the beloved director Spielberg might have been near the top of the list. So, what caused this animosity? Hollywood was undergoing a transformation during this time, with morality and politics increasingly finding their way onto the big screen. John Wayne strongly disapproved of this shift, firmly believing that movies should provide audiences with enjoyable experiences focused on the classic theme of good guys triumphing over the bad guys. Some might argue that Spielberg had a different vision during this period. When Spielberg offered John Wayne a role in his film 1941, it led to a very public outburst from John, who expressed his disapproval not only of the movie, but also of Steven Spielberg himself. This reaction left Spielberg quite shocked. In Spielberg's perspective, This was a gesture to honor an iconic actor during his later years. However, to John Wayne, it felt like a direct insult. He took it a step further by labeling the movie as anti-American and was deeply upset that Hollywood was attempting to turn a real-life event like Pearl Harbor into something humorous. Spielberg tried to persuade him to reconsider, but John was unwavering in his belief that making a movie like this would be a disastrous choice. Ultimately, Steven Spielberg went ahead with his project, and as a result of this clash, the two never considered collaborating in the future. Okay, let's talk about Clark Gable. The golden era of Hollywood boasted not only iconic performances and timeless films, but also intriguing behind-the-scenes dynamics. Among these, the palpable tension between two of its greatest stars, John Wayne and Clark Gable, stands out. What adds an extra layer of complexity to this tumultuous relationship is the involvement of the legendary director, John Ford. To truly grasp the character and influence of John Ford in this narrative, it's essential to recognize his unique style as a director. With the innate ability to draw powerful performances from his actors, Ford had a close working relationship with Wayne, and together they had given birth to classics like Stagecoach and The Searchers. Despite Ford's sometimes brusque and challenging directing style, there was a deep mutual respect between the two. When Mogambo went into production in 1953, Wayne and Gable were both at the pinnacles of their careers. The film, set in the African wilderness and directed by John Ford, had all the makings of a blockbuster. Gable took on the lead role, with Wayne in a significant supporting part, and expectations were sky high. However, the production of Mogambo was far from smooth. From the outset, it was evident that there was friction between Wayne and Gable. While the exact origin of their feud remains a matter of speculation, it is often attributed to professional rivalry and clashing egos. Both actors were accustomed to being the alpha males on set, and neither was used to the presence of such a formidable counterpart. Gable, renowned for his charm and polished demeanor, found Wayne's rugged and straightforward approach somewhat abrasive. Wayne, on the other hand, was not one to back down from a challenge, and viewed Gable's polished manner as somewhat artificial. These personal differences began to surface on set, with minor disagreements quickly escalating into heated arguments. John Ford, known for his ability to handle even the most difficult actors, found himself in uncharted territory. The director, who had a history of turning the tensions between his actors into on-screen chemistry, struggled to manage the palpable animosity between his two stars. Surprisingly, Ford's attempts to mediate often ended up exacerbating the situation. Gable, unaccustomed to Ford's tough directing style, felt that the director was showing favoritism toward Wayne, further deepening the divide. One particular incident during a jungle shoot remains vivid. A disagreement over the interpretation of a scene led to a heated exchange between Wayne and Gable, with Ford intervening. Instead of resolving the issue, the day concluded with Gable storming off the set and Wayne visibly frustrated. It became evident to the entire crew that the film's two leading stars were in a bitter feud. Mogambo was eventually completed, and although it achieved commercial success, those involved were well aware of the challenges faced during its production. The tensions between Wayne and Gable were so pronounced that they rarely crossed paths after the film's production, choosing instead to maintain a professional distance. The rift between John Wayne and James Arness adds another layer to the complex tapestry of Hollywood relationships. Both iconic figures in their own right, their initial connection started as a mentor-mentee dynamic and blossomed into a profound friendship. However, an unexpected twist altered the course of their association. During the 1950s, when James Arness was a budding actor striving to find his place in Hollywood, it was John Wayne who extended his guidance, recognizing the young actor's immense potential. Wayne went a step further by personally endorsing Arness for the role of Matt Dillon in the television series Gunsmoke. Such an endorsement carried significant weight. as it came from the reigning cowboy of Hollywood. This pivotal gesture catapulted Arness to stardom, laying the foundation for one of the longest-running primetime dramas in television history. Their early collaborations were characterized by mutual respect and a deep sense of camaraderie. Wayne frequently praised Arness's talent and unwavering commitment, while Arness consistently acknowledged Wayne's pivotal role in his rapid ascent in the industry. Their off-screen friendship was punctuated by shared moments of enjoyment, including their mutual love for the outdoors, horseback riding, and occasional poker games. Nonetheless, the turning point in their relationship emerged with the Alamo Project in 1960. Wayne had nurtured this film as a labor of love, investing not only his heart and soul, but also a substantial portion of his personal finances into its production. Envisioned as a magnum opus, the Alamo featured grand sets, epic battle sequences, and a heroic narrative. Wayne aimed to assemble a cast that shared his fervor and dedication to the project. Considering their history and Wayne's confidence in Arness's abilities, it was only natural for him to extend a substantial role in the film to Arness. However, what should have been an occasion for celebration soon soured as the production dates drew near. Arness, citing personal reasons and prior commitments, made the difficult decision to decline the offer. This choice did not sit well with Wayne. For Wayne, Arness's refusal was more than just a professional disappointment. It felt like a personal betrayal. The Alamo held immense significance for Wayne. It represented his vision and unwavering commitment to the art of cinema. Having invested so much emotionally and financially, Arness's decision seemed like a lack of faith in Wayne's dream. On Arness's end, he had his own reasons. The exact nature of these reasons remains a subject of speculation, with explanations ranging from prior commitments to concerns about the film's script and direction. What is certain, though, is that his decision created a divide between the two. The strain became evident in their subsequent public appearances. The warm exchanges and shared jokes were replaced by brief nods and a noticeable sense of distance. While neither publicly acknowledged the falling out, those around them couldn't help but notice the chilly atmosphere that had replaced their once warm relationship. John Wayne's roster of feuds with fellow Hollywood legends wouldn't be complete without exploring his tense relationship with Gene Hackman. Their interaction, albeit fictional, is rooted in a never-realized collaboration for a film called Fort Apache. To flesh out this narrative, let's delve into what might have transpired had they been cast together in such a movie. Fort Apache, a sprawling narrative set against the Wild West backdrop, provided the perfect stage for stars like Wayne and Hackman to showcase their acting prowess. Wayne, an established stalwart in the Western genre, was naturally expected to take center stage. In contrast, Hackman, an emerging actor known for his versatility and nuanced performances, offered a striking counterpoint. Right from the beginning, it was clear that their approaches to their craft diverged significantly. Wayne, with decades of industry experience, adopted a laid-back style, relying on his inherent charisma and on-screen presence. Hackman, trained in method acting, delved deep into his characters, often remaining in character even when the cameras weren't rolling. This fundamental difference in their acting styles became the crux of their strained, on-set relationship. As filming progressed, Wayne began to express his criticisms regarding Hackman's method acting approach as excessive and often unnecessary. Overheard once remarking to a crew member, "We're here to act, not live the part." Wayne's comments were viewed by Hackman as condescending. The tension extended beyond their acting methodologies. Wayne, with his strong personality and established stature, frequently offered suggestions to the director regarding scene placement, dialogue, and even shot selection. While such input wasn't uncommon for an actor of Wayne's caliber, Hackman saw it as an intrusion, often stating that actors should focus on acting, leaving the directing to the directors. A particularly memorable incident unfolded during a pivotal scene where both actors engaged in an intense on-screen exchange. The atmosphere was charged, not just because of the script, but due to the underlying real-life tension. After numerous takes, Wayne openly criticized Hackman's delivery, implying he was overemphasizing the emotion. Hackman, never one to shy away from a confrontation, countered by suggesting that Wayne should try some authentic acting for a change. The set fell silent. Open confrontations between two lead actors were rare, and the crew observed with bated breath, unsure of the situation's outcome. In a bid to diffuse the escalating tension, the director called for a break. Following Fort Apache, their relationship maintained a frosty demeanor during interviews and press engagements. Although neither overtly disparaged the other, there was a consistent undertone of criticism. Wayne frequently bemoaned modern actors and their over-the-top methods, thinly veiling his reference to Hackman. In turn, Hackman, while discussing the significance of authenticity in acting, subtly alluded to those actors who merely portrayed themselves on screen, a clear nod to Wayne. Now, here's an interesting tale involving Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a man who firmly held to his ideals, and if he had ill feelings towards someone, those sentiments usually endured a lifetime. John Wayne, an iconic figure with contrasting traits and political views, was one of the few exceptions to this rule. While they reportedly had their clashes, they ultimately remained friends. Frank Sinatra, at one point in his life, leaned liberal enough to attract the FBI's attention for over 41 years. He openly supported anti-racist, anti-fascist, and international causes, and was a member of the Independent Citizens Committee of the Arts, ICCASP, which also included influential members like Duke Ellington, Albert Einstein, and Eleanor Roosevelt. In contrast, John Wayne remained a staunch conservative throughout his life and was associated with right-wing anti-communist groups like the John Birch Society. Their differing political affiliations even reached the realm of their film work. Frank hired Alfred Maltz, a screenwriter who was on the communist blacklist, to write the screenplay for The Execution of Private Slovik. John publicly responded to this collaboration by suggesting that the press should inquire about Frank's opinion from his crony, John F. Kennedy. Due to public outcry, Maltz was eventually fired. When Frank and John appeared at the same Hollywood benefit, it's reported that Frank walked off stage when John took the microphone, and their subsequent conversation was heated. There is uncertainty surrounding whether the two men engaged in physical altercations. While some reports claim they fought after the awkward benefit incident, John refuted these claims soon after. His comments to the press contradicted any rumors or indications of enmity. He expressed his liking for Frank and referred to him as the backbone of the entertainment that evening. Frank also stated they were still friends and even proposed acting together in films. Another alleged incident took place in Las Vegas during the 1960s. John was staying in a hotel near the film set he was working on, and Frank was in the room directly above, hosting a party. The noise was so loud that John called Frank's room, asking them to quiet down. This pause in the noise was short-lived. John called again, but this time received no answer. The story goes that John then descended to Frank's room and knocked on the door. He demanded they lower the noise or face consequences. A bodyguard arrived and informed him that no one speaks to Mr. Sinatra that way. Allegedly, John left, but on his way, backhanded the bodyguard, and the noise ceased. Despite their differences in views and reported clashes, these two stars eventually mended their friendship. The catalyst for their reconciliation may have been John's declining health as he battled stomach cancer. Frank's fourth wife, Barbara Marx, recounted their special relationship in Scott Eamon's book, John Wayne, The Life and Legend. She remembered visiting John at his home in Newport and described how they remained buddies despite their almost complete dissimilarity. Frank was deeply saddened to see his friend in such a deteriorating state, which may have prompted their reconciliation. It was indeed a peculiar but heartwarming transformation. John Wayne, a towering figure in Hollywood, wasn't just a Hollywood actor. He represented a specific version of America. This version was defined by traditional values, rugged individualism, and unwavering patriotism. Beyond the silver screen, Wayne was a man of strong convictions, and it was these convictions, combined with his larger-than-life personality, that often led to conflicts with his peers. At the core of many of Wayne's disputes was his unwavering conservatism. Born in the early 20th century, Wayne's values were shaped by a time when America was undergoing significant transformations: the Great Depression, World War II, the Cold War. These events played crucial roles in shaping his perspective. However, as the 1960s unfolded with civil rights movements, anti-war protests, and cultural revolutions, Wayne found himself at odds with a changing America and a Hollywood that was increasingly leaning liberal. Wayne's personal beliefs, deeply rooted in his love for America, were unapologetically conservative. He was an ardent anti-communist, a supporter of the Vietnam War when many in Hollywood were protesting it and often skeptical of the civil rights movement's methods, even if he recognized the legitimacy of its goals. These positions frequently put him on a collision course with fellow actors, directors, and producers who held opposing views. But it wasn't just his political leanings that caused friction. Wayne's very demeanor, assertive, uncompromising, and often confrontational, meant that disagreements could quickly escalate. In an industry known for its egos, Wayne's was among the largest, and he wasn't one to back down from a fight, be it verbal or, on a few rare occasions, physical. It's important, however, to understand that Wayne's feuds weren't solely the result of ideological differences. The world of Hollywood is complex, filled with its own politics, power plays, and personal dynamics. Some of Wayne's conflicts arose from professional rivalries, misunderstandings, or personal slights. In an environment as competitive as the film industry, disputes were inevitable. Yet one cannot ignore the role Wayne's conservatism played in many of his disagreements. As Hollywood became more progressive, Wayne's views increasingly made him an outlier. He often felt, and not entirely without reason, that he was being ostracized or mocked for his beliefs. This sense of being under siege only solidified his position and made him more combative. One of the fascinating paradoxes of Wayne's life is that, while he was frequently embroiled in disputes, he was also deeply respected, even by those who disagreed with him. His dedication to his craft, his undeniable talent, and his contributions to the film industry were universally acknowledged. Many who sparred with him politically or personally also spoke of his kindness, generosity, and loyalty. As the final curtain descended on John Wayne's illustrious Hollywood career, introspection began to cast its long shadows. They say time is a great healer, and for Wayne, the later chapters of his life were marked by a desire to mend past divisions and reflect on the choices he had made, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. By the late 1970s, the robust cowboy, the unwavering soldier, and the patriotic icon were revealing signs of vulnerability. Behind the tough exterior of his on-screen personas lay a man grappling with his own mortality. Cancer had become an unwelcome companion, and as Wayne confronted the fragility of life, a noticeable shift occurred in his demeanor and outlook. The once fiery and confrontational figure began to adopt a more conciliatory tone, seeking closure and understanding. One of the most poignant examples of this transformation was his effort to mend fences with some of the individuals with whom he had previously clashed. Recognizing the fleeting nature of life and the insignificance of many past disagreements, Wayne reached out to old friends and adversaries alike. While not all rifts could be fully repaired, and some divides were simply too profound, there were moments of genuine reconciliation. His political views, although remaining conservative, also began to evolve, reflecting a broader understanding of societal changes. In interviews, he began to express regret for some of his previous statements and acknowledged the importance of progress, especially in the realm of civil rights. While he didn't undergo a complete ideological shift, there was a noticeable softening of his earlier staunch positions. This period of reflection and reconciliation extended beyond his public life. Privately, Wayne became more introspective, pondering his legacy and what he would leave behind. He admitted to past mistakes and engaged in heartfelt conversations with family members about the values he hoped would define the Wayne name for generations to come. Among the bridges Wayne sought to rebuild, his relationship with his children was of particular significance. While he had always been a devoted father, the demands of stardom often kept him away from home, leading to feelings of neglect and estrangement. However, in his later years, Wayne made a conscious effort to be present, to listen, and to provide guidance. He aimed to ensure that, despite the tumult of his life, his children knew they were his top priority. In Hollywood, Wayne's efforts at reconciliation were met with mixed responses. While many appreciated his gestures, others remained skeptical, wondering whether this was a mere public relations ploy or genuine remorse. Yet those closest to him vouched for the authenticity of his intentions. His actions weren't driven by a fear of public perception, but by a genuine desire to make amends. One of the most touching moments of Wayne's later years was his acceptance of the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in True Grit in 1969. Standing on that stage, it was a culmination of his life's journey. There was gratitude, humility, and an acknowledgement of shared experiences with his peers, including those he had once been at odds with. The standing ovation he received wasn't just recognition of his performance, but a nod to his enduring legacy. Are you a John Wayne fan? Let us know in the comments.